Hello my friends, and welcome to the Drunken gaming channel with me, Baltik. Now before we get started, please remember, if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, help us get to the magical 100, be greatly appreciated. Now let's get into it. Today we're going to be doing the top 5 games that deserve a remake. Now this generation has become a bit of a golden age for your remakes. Last year we had the magnificent Shadow of the Colossus. We've had Crash Bandicoot. Just recently Resident Evil 2 has come out, and that got me thinking, what games would I like to see get that remake treatment, built right from the ground up, maybe even a reboot, whatever. But anyway, I've got 5 games here that I think anybody that's played them will agree these need to come back. So first up we have number 5, Severance, Blade of Darkness. Now before Demon's Souls or Dark Souls were even a twinkle in the eye of From Software, we had this brutally hard hack and slash fantasy kind of RPG. And if you look at the game, you'll find it has many similarities to Dark Souls. As I say, the fantasy setting had a really deep kind of backstory to it. It all boils down to the Lord of Chaos and the Sword of Darkness, or the Sword of Light that it will become when you get it, and the quest thereon to get it. Now as I say, a lot of similar things to Dark Souls. The combat in this game was brutally hard, and it was all hack and slash. So you had 4 characters, Turkaram, and he was the barbarian. You had Nalfgar or whatever, a dwarf, Sargon a knight, and Zoe, who was an Amazon. Now each character would start on a different map, so you'd be totally flung into a different starting area, with a totally different kind of story set up for each character. And they each had their own weapons, different strengths and weaknesses, especially in terms of their power, agility, defense, and even more importantly, they had their own combos and sets of moves. Now this game, another thing it had, and this is why one of the main reasons I would like to see it come back, never mind the whole world and that's brilliant, really good kind of grounded fantasy setting, and really nice backstory. It does everything well there, but it had an amazing dismemberment system in it, quite advanced for the time, and it looked great at the time as well. But yeah, you could basically chop off any limb, decapitate your enemies. It was really bloody and violent, but it worked so well, especially for the fantasy setting that it was in. So you'll get cutscenes in between the levels as well that will provide you brief insights to the plot. And as you progress through the game, you'll be able to earn experience points, which will give you new special attacks and moves, some of which are only for certain weapons. But all in all, an absolutely brilliant game. As I say, brutally hard. There was loads of things to collect actually to get the secret ending in this. You had to go through and collect, I think it was 6 crystals or something like that, to get to the actual end. And when I first seen Dark Souls, this is what it reminded me of, Severance. So I think it's actually abandonware now that you can pick up for free on Kadosa emulator or whatever. But really, really good game. If you like Dark Souls, definitely check it out, but I'd love to see that one come back and make a return. So moving on from that, we have number 4, Syndicate. Now Syndicate was released in 1993 by Bullfrog Games, or just Bullfrog. It was an isometric kind of tactical shooter, set in a cyberpunk dystopian world where corporations had basically taken over from governments, and you were one such corporation and you got to name your own corporation. And what it was basically you controlled your own cyborgs. So you had a team of 4 cyborgs, up to 4, that you would send out in different missions, assassinations, escorts, kidnapping, all that kind of thing. But it was really, really good. Brutal fucking world that you were in here. Very, very, as I say, futuristic cyberpunk. It really hit. The storytelling was magnificent in it, and there was really deep gameplay mechanics as well. So your corporation, you had to send your guys out. You would have a different mission for each different country, and eventually you would be basically wanting to take over world domination, have everything, and you would be competing against other corporations who had their own enhanced cyborgs that they would send into the field. Some really interesting mechanics, weapon-wise, vehicle-wise and stuff. I remember you could walk about 4 guys, miniguns, and just absolutely tear down hundreds of wee characters on the screen and just leave bloody mess everywhere. The level design was brilliant. It was really, really atmospheric game, and Bullfrog did a brilliant job with this. As I say, there was one weapon in it, well, if you could call it a weapon, it was actually called a Persuadatron. So what you would do if you got within a certain distance of somebody, you could actually persuade them to follow you. And the tactics you could do with this were brilliant. I mean, you could even get enemies to fight on your side. You could take like a bunch of 30 people all around your agents just for a human shield if you wanted, you know. Really interesting, and for back in the day, it was a brilliant wee game. So I'd love to see that built from the ground up again with all the new bells and whistles graphically. I think basically keep the same story and everything, you'd be on to a fucking winner. Especially with games like XCOM and stuff doing so well the new. This isn't turn-based, however, you know, but really, really good tactical isometric kind of RPG shooter thing. As I say, there was base building mechanics as well, where you would have to, you could tax each section you get, you fix the taxation on the population. So that could, even if you put it too high, it would lead to rebellion in some stages, and you'd have to go back in, do another mission to reclaim your territory. But brilliant wee game. As I say, I played that originally on the Amiga, and I think that was probably the best place to play. It did get ports onto the consoles, but they were very much inferior versions. So that's that for number 4. Number 3, we're moving on now to Colony Wars. Developed and released for the PS1 in 1997 by Psygnosis, Colony Wars was a 3D space shooter, and you knew you were in for something truly special as you put the intro on, and then you hear James Earl Jones tell this epic setup of a story. And that was one of the great things about this. I mean, obviously back in the day it was really good graphics for the time, now not so good, but it had an epic story. Basically what happened was Earth had colonised the planets because the solar system was devoid of resources, and eventually the colonists get sick. You know, we've all heard this before. The colonists get sick of putting all their resources back to Earth. They do a peaceful rebellion, which ends up in the Tsar of Earth coming and blowing up a fucking planet, Death Star style, and that's the setup to the game. So you then are part of the League of Planets, or whatever, the Free League, led by the Father, and you have to do various missions all the way back to Earth to stop the actual Navy fleet from basically totally annihilating all the colonies. So as I say, at the time it had really good graphics and mechanics. I remember when you would shoot the ships, they would crack, then explode. Oh, it was brilliant. And there's no other space game that I've played actually done that so well. Maybe Everspace has been the nearest one to it when you destroy the big ships and that, but this game was absolutely brilliant. It also had branching paths depending on how you would do in the levels, and multiple endings as well, so there was a good replay factor there, and I'd just love to see this brought bang up to date with the graphics. Give us the same story yet again. As I say, it was really good. Keep James Earl Jones in there, and you're not going to get anybody better to voice your stuff than that. So definitely Colony Wars, please bring it back. We're in the lack of just proper good arcade space shooters. I know we've got plenty on the PC, on the console we're a bit strapped. Now as I say, I did like Everspace, that's the nearest thing I've come to it, but that had a kind of roguelike kind of effect to it. I want Colony Wars. Give me this epic story of colonies fighting against Earth, the Empire at war, and the stuff we could do now with the new consoles, the graphics we could have, would really put you in the middle of these epic space battles. So that was number 3. Number 2, the easiest one of the list in my opinion, just because we just did Resident Evil 2, I'm talking about Dino Crisis. Released in 1999 by Capcom, obviously, Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil, gave us Dino Crisis, and it's a very, very similar game, especially mechanics, graphics wise, all the rest of it, except instead of zombies, you've now got dinosaurs, and I don't care what you say, fucking a T-Rex is well more scary than some stupid fucking zombie limbering at me, okay? Even keep your fucking liquors and all that and give me dinosaurs, mad crazy fucking dinosaurs. This game was brilliant back in the day, as I say. I can just imagine it getting the same kind of work as Resident Evil 2. It might not, because it wasn't as a popular, you know. But fingers crossed we could maybe see Capcom come back, because they are nailing it at the moment with their remasters and stuff. So Dino Crisis, that would be brilliant to see. So then we go for number 1, and that is Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Released in 1999 by Crystal Dynamics and published by Eidos. It's a gothic tale of vampires and the supernatural. Now, it's the second game in the Legacy of Kain trilogy, and it brought something a wee bit different to that series. But as I say, it's all about a tale about these vampires. It's got one of the most epic intros I remember from the PlayStation days. And basically you play as Raziel, and you're the first lieutenant of Kain. He actually made you a vampire and created you and all this rest of the stuff. But you grow wings and the motherfucker gets jealous. You can do something he can't. So in the intro it sets up, he kills you, but you go down and you manage to get resurrected for some fucking elder god who sends you on a tale of revenge, basically, against Kain. And the world in this was proper good, really immersive, dark gothic setting. Gameplay was, at the time, pretty decent. Some platforming, puzzle, kind of hack and slash mechanics going on there, but I can just imagine this brought bang up to date with some really nice graphics. I think it would look amazing. Obviously you could take enemies' souls, and that's what you lived on. If you ran out of that, you went into a kind of ethereal mode where you were just your wraith. But as I say, the story was really good, really good. Pretty adult and mature. If you like your vampire kind of things, this was awesome, because you actually went about and you had to fight all the other generals getting to Kain. So that is one I would love to see come back. And who knows, I've seen a few rumours banded about some of these games, particularly Dino Crisis. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope to see if we're going to be getting all these remasters. They're keeping doing it. Give us some good ones, you know what I mean? Give us hidden gems for the past, things that have been dead for a good while. As I say, I think the oldest game we talked about there was Syndicate, 1993. The rest of them are all just like 99, 97, 2001 for Severance, actually. That was still basically a decade before Dark Souls. But all these games, I'd love to see them revisited. As I say, if you've never even checked out the originals, most of them are available on emulators and some of them freeware, abandonware, stuff like that. Definitely worth a check. But any games you would like to see remastered? I mean, I could go on and on and on here. This could have been a top 50, to be quite honest. But yeah, let us know in the comments, what would you like to see? Give us one or two games that you'd like to see get the total overhaul, rebuilt from the ground up, remastered business. Anyway, that'll about do it for this video. I've been Baltik. Remember, like, share, hit subscribe, all the rest of it. Stay safe, happy gaming, and I'll catch you.